I'm going to tell you 5 signs that she's losing interest so you can be sharp and on your game instead of getting a sudden breakup text and you didn't really expect it and you were texting your friends about what an awesome girl you had and now you have to tell them that she just dumped you. That shit is lame, bro. So all that and more coming up next. This is with SeductionLeash.com, help you unleash your best with women and beyond. And if it's your first time to this channel and you're interested in dating, relationships, self-improvement, and motivational content, start now by hitting that subscribe and bell notification so you can join that Unleash notification gang, bro, so you don't miss anything. So with that being said, gentlemen, let us begin. Sign number 1, if she's hitting you up not nearly as much as she used to, or if she's hitting you up a lot less than you're hitting her up. Now, in general, when you first meet a girl, you're always typically gonna have to be chasing. If you're an average dude and you're not a celebrity or someone with a bunch of fucking social value, or you aren't really good looking. And even then, you still are naturally the guy. You still have to be the hunter. You still have to lead the dates and all that type of shit. Until you have sex with a girl, you're basically, you're on the chase. But once you have sex with a girl, that's when she loses all her power and the dynamic shifts. And when it shifts, you have to keep her chasing. If she's not chasing and you're keeping this dynamic of constantly fucking, on your fucking knees doing cartwheels and juggling fucking chainsaws on a unicycle, chasing to keep her happy, bending over backwards, and she's not investing at all, not even contacting you. Meanwhile, you're texting her lame ass fucking good morning texts and good night texts, and she's not sending you anything. That is a problem. Sign number 2, she starts to flake out a lot and make excuses. Now, for those of you who don't know, flaking just basically means bailing on a date. Now, I'm not saying you should freak out. If a girl has a busy life, that's just what it is. But if you notice that a girl is just starting to flake out more on you, and maybe she's not showing up for dates, or maybe she's just showing up late, and maybe she didn't used to show up late before and she has no remorse about it. If you see these little things and you feel it in your gut that something's different, or she's just starting to give less of a fuck, trust that feeling. They always talk about women's intuition, but what about men, huh? We don't have no fucking intuition. We're over here fucking hunting saber-toothed tigers with sticks. But that doesn't take any intuition. But it takes a lot of intuition to fucking be at the stove, huh? Okay, I'm just saying. Now, when these things happen, you don't want to react angry, because emotions to a female are still emotions. When you act angry, that's essentially still acting feminine. You have to stay in a neutral masculine state when you address these issues. And when you address these issues, do not seem super invested. Just say that isn't something that you tolerate. And if it keeps happening again and again, you have to come to the decision that this isn't the chick for you, that she's a fucking lame. But if you want to keep her chasing, you have to keep track of these little signs. You have to make sure you're not the one always investing first while she's just la-di-da, I'm a girl, I'm just going to show up and bail whenever. These are typically signs that happen early on. When you haven't had sex with a girl yet, she's not invested, she'll flake and bail and won't give a fuck. But if she's invested, or you're in a relationship, or whatever the case is, something more serious, and she starts to do this shit, it's a big problem. Sign number 3, she's putting less effort into her hygiene and into looking sexy. Now let's be clear for a second. What moves does a girl have to say put the moves on you? Really think about it for a second. Do girls approach you? No. Do they ask you on a date? No. Do they plan ahead? Maybe, some girls do. But ultimately, if you really think about it, it's kind of like peacocks. There's one peacock that looks real pretty. With humans, it seems to be the female. That's why typically, females, they're not going to charm you. A woman doesn't go on a date thinking, okay, I gotta make sure I win him over so he likes me. Unless she already likes the guy. If a girl's just going on a date, she's just going on the date like, okay, I'm gonna see how it goes. Okay, you're asking probably what's the point of all this? The point of all this is that a woman's main weapon is her beauty. A woman's main weapon is, I hate to say it, oftentimes it's their pussy. That's why oftentimes, that's what they always mention. They always fucking mention that shit as a source of power. Women, ultimately, sexually, they like to be objectified. I don't give a fuck how bad that sounds. I don't care if you take that shit out of context. A girl's role sexually is to look pretty and to try to entice you and be like, oh my God, hey, come here, look at my titty nipples. They like playing that fucking role. Nothing gets a girl more excited than getting dressed up and looking sexy, especially for you, especially when she's able to just release herself openly without being judged. You're there and she's attracted to you, so she's looking towards you for her validation of her sexiness. If a girl is not putting any effort into her sexiness, if you notice that early on she was putting in effort and then later on she's not, that's a fucking problem. They especially need to be on point, because at the end of the day, you know, that's a big thing for females. For guys, looking all prettied up isn't as big of a thing. Now, I know that sounds a little biased, but here's the thing. Fuck that. Sign number 4, her sex drive goes down, or she's making excuses not to have sex. First of all, if a girl's making excuses not to have sex, that's probably because you're asking for sex. And if you're asking for sex, that's a big fucking problem, because sex shouldn't be a logical thing where it's like, okay, let's do it, honey. That doesn't fucking work. That shit is horrible. And over time, it's just gonna dry her pussy up. If a girl is making excuses not to have sex, she's clearly losing interest, obviously. What I want to point out is that when this happens, do not sulk. I know it's very hard not to just be like fucking irritated and sulk in that moment, but don't sulk. Like when you sulk, when you just act like, when you act down, women do not give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They don't like anything that looks like any kind of pleading or groveling or any kind of negative, needy, I want you kind of energy. Even if you feel like you're entitled to it, you're not entitled to it. You have to turn her on and make her want it. Otherwise, she's not gonna want it. That being said, I understand the frustration, because at the end of the day, she's a woman. She's not gonna initiate sex, so it's like, it's always up to you to turn her on. So you just thinking shit like, damn, what do I have to do next week? I have to just get on my hands and start fucking doing cartwheels just to turn this bitch on? Like, that's why it's so important for you to have the frame of making her chase you, making her constantly chase your validation, not only emotionally, not only character-wise, but sexually as well. If you're constantly trying to chase her or logically make her want to do something, it's gonna be a problem. Number 5, she doesn't seem as enthusiastic to see you anymore. You have intuition, like I said in the earlier step. If you feel that a girl is not as excited, you're probably right. If you see, you know, that twinkle in her eyes just isn't quite there, you're probably fucking right. Trust your gut, trust your instinct. At that moment, you need to decide what you want to do. If this girl is worth pursuing further, if she's worth pursuing further, then you need to completely change your strategy. But first, you probably need to give her a little bit of distance, because when you're around the girl too much, she just starts to get spoiled by you. You need to take away your energy for a bit. Give her some time to just forget what you're like just for a little bit, and then come back with a whole different kind of dominant energy. When that happens, then you could turn things around. But for now, if you see these signs, you need to most likely get the fuck away from her and then change your strategy and then come back if you want her back. However, if things have just gotten to a point where they're just too far gone and you feel like the relationship is too toxic, you may have to pull the motherfucking plug. Now, have you ever felt like a girl was losing interest in you, and then you noticed it, and then before you know it, she was trying to dump you, and you were like, fuck, I saw it coming? Leave below in the comments and I'll read it, because I like to read stories, man. So if you enjoyed that kick-ass video and you want to see more on dating, relationships, self-improvement, and motivational content, start now by hitting that button right there so you can join that Unleash notification gang, bro, so you don't miss any updates. So with that being said, gentlemen, unleash your best, and remember, until next time, confidence is bred by competence. Peace.